The air in Auralis grew thick with tension as the drums of war echoed from the horizon. Queen Sereth of Varkis, emboldened by Aldric's enchanted meals that bolstered her mages and warriors, had amassed an army along the border, her ironclad ambition clashing with King Theron's prideful defiance. The two kingdoms, once uneasy neighbors, teetered on the brink of a devastating conflict. Aldric, now a celebrated figure in Varkis's fortress capital, found himself at the heart of the brewing storm, his culinary gifts unwittingly fueling the fire. In Varkis's grand kitchens, Aldric stirred a cauldron of simmering spices and herbs, their aromas mingling in a heady blend. Outside, the rhythmic clang of hammers on armor resonated, a stark counterpoint to the symphony of scents. He was preparing a supper for Queen Sereth, whose upcoming meeting with visiting dignitaries from the neighboring kingdom of Aldric would bolster support for her territorial claims. But a shadow of unease fell over Aldric. He'd witnessed firsthand the darkening turn of events since his arrival in Varkis, while his enchanted meals sustained and strengthened the Varkis soldiers, bolstering their endurance, stamina, and magical abilities. The very same enhancements were turning the Queen's ambitions toward a disastrous war with Auralis. Earlier, he had tried to dissuade Queen Sereth from aggressive actions against Auralis, emphasizing the benefits of peaceful coexistence and trade. But his pleas fell on deaf ears. Now, standing before the Queen, Aldric chose diplomacy over defiance. "Your Majesty, with all respect, why not offer a welcoming feast for these guests instead of preparations for battle?" he asked cautiously, hoping reason would prevail. Queen Sereth turned from the window where she had been surveying the training grounds. Her face, usually radiant, was grim. "There is no time for pleasantries, Chef Aldric. Our cause is just, and these lords are here to pledge their support. Once Auralis is ours, we will need every advantage to secure our borders." She paused, her gaze fixed on some distant point. "Besides, what good would a feast accomplish? They are as eager for war as I am." Aldric sighed inwardly. The Queen's resolve had hardened like steel. Reason was a brittle twig snapping under such resolve. He dipped his head in submission. "As you wish, Your Majesty. I shall prepare a supper fit for an invading force." And so Aldric cooked, infusing each dish with subtle enchantments. He ladled out stews that invigorated the troops, baked breads that boosted morale, and crafted desserts that refreshed the weary. As night fell, the hall buzzed with the energy of battle-ready soldiers and excited noblemen. Aldric, watching from the sidelines, felt a knot of dread in his stomach. His creations, meant to sustain, would also enhance their combat abilities, making the coming war even deadlier. Amongst the crowd, two figures stood out, Duchess Lyra of Auralis and Archduchess Ilara of Varkis. Duchess Lyra, though disguised in mundane clothes, exuded an air of authority. Her presence a silent testament to Auralis's enduring strength despite its recent turmoil. Archduchess Ilara, Varkis's heir, regarded the assembled troops with a critical eye. Her gaze, sharp and discerning, missed nothing, taking in the raw power her cousin Theron had amassed. As the banquet reached its boisterous peak, Aldric discreetly slipped a vial of calming draught into Archduchess Ilara's goblet. With the Queen's ambitions spiraling toward reckless heights, Aldric saw the young Archduchess as a potential voice of reason. Later, when most had retired for the night, Aldric found Archduchess Ilara in the gardens, her back to him as she gazed at the moonlit landscape. "That was a potent draught, wasn't it?" she said, without turning. "It's a simple sleeping draught," Aldric replied cautiously, unsure of her intentions. "Why did you slip it into my drink?" Ilara turned, her expression unreadable. "Do you truly not know?" she asked, her voice low. "Of course not," Aldric responded, his heart pounding. How could she accuse him of such deceit, when all he'd done was try to help? Alira stepped closer, her eyes boring into his. "Don't play coy with me. You are Aldric the Magaben, are you not?" Aldric recoiled, his mind racing. How had she discovered his identity, and what did she intend to do with this knowledge? Before he could respond, Alira pressed on. "You aided my treacherous cousin in seizing the throne. I saw the look in her eyes after she drank your draught. You seek to control my family, to manipulate them for your own ends." Aldric shook his head frantically, but Alira cut him off. "Save it. I know who you are and what you bring. Vanquish my mother, bend my father to your will. Next, you'll target me." She took a step back, her voice echoing in the stillness of the garden. "But you forget, I, too, am a mage. And unlike you, I serve the light." Aldric raised his hands in defense. "I swear I only wanted to help. My magic is of life and healing, not control or manipulation. If only you could see what I've seen, the exhaustion, the desperation, the toll this endless conflict is taking on our people." "Enough of your lies," Alira snapped, raising her hand. A bolt of searing lightning arced from her fingertips, forcing Aldric to raise a shielding hand just in time. Their confrontation was interrupted by the sudden arrival of Queen Sereth, her crimson robes billowing behind her. "What is the meaning of this?" she demanded, her eyes flashing. "Lightning in the gardens and a banished mage in my court. Have you grown bold, Elara?" "I found him trying to poison you, Mother," Elara retorted, stepping defiantly forward. Sereth's gaze shifted to Aldric, her face hardening. "So you have returned to your old ways, Magaben. It seems you cannot resist the urge to meddle in matters that do not concern you." Aldric knew he was caught. Trying to explain would be futile. His only hope lay in appealing to their sense of reason. But would they listen? The fate of two kingdoms hung in the balance, and Aldric's fate was inextricably intertwined with theirs. The next morning, Aldric stood before the assembled court, his head bowed, awaiting his sentencing. The Queen's decision echoed through the vast hall, carrying the weight of two kingdoms' destinies. Aldric braced for banishment, or worse. But when the Queen finally spoke, her words took an unexpected turn. "You have shown a reckless disregard for the sanctity of our lands," Queen Sereth said, her voice leaving no room for argument. "For that, I banish you from Varkis, and you are forbidden from using any form of magic within our borders." Relief washed over Aldric, quickly followed by a surge of determination. He would prove to them that he posed no threat, that he had come in peace. He simply wanted to help. Meanwhile, outside the city walls, Archduchess Alira confronted her mother. "Why do you hesitate, Mother? This man is dangerous." I saw the darkness in his eyes. "We should attack Auralis now, while our forces are at their peak." Queen Sereth remained seated, her gaze distant. "Patience, Alara," she said softly. "We do not need to rush. This war will be won with strategy, not brute force." And so Aldric left Varkis, his steps heavy with the weight of unfulfilled purpose. In the safety of the nearby forest, he paused, drawing strength from the rustling leaves and the songs of hidden birds. He had to reach Alaris and warn them, but how could he make them believe his tale without proof of his magic? Suddenly, inspiration struck. He gathered fallen leaves and twigs, forming them into the shape of a bird. Then, focusing his will, he sent the makeshift staff soaring through the air, feeling the familiar tug of his magic. Aldric smiled, hope rekindled. With this demonstration, he might just convince the Auralisians of his true intentions. His journey was long and fraught with peril, but Aldric pressed on, driven by the urgency of his mission. As he neared Alaris, the sight that greeted him was one of devastation. Charred fields, broken homes, and a palpable sense of loss hung heavy in the air. But, amidst the destruction, he saw something that gave him pause, a glimmer of resilience in the form of a young boy tending to a small patch of scorched earth. Aldric approached cautiously. "Can you help me?" he asked gently, extending a hand. The boy looked up, his eyes wary. Aldric introduced himself and explained his mission, hoping to gain the child's trust. Touched by Aldric's kindness and sensing his genuine concern, the boy led him to the ruins of the local tavern, where several survivors had taken shelter. Aldric wasted no time. He began cooking, preparing nourishing meals that brought warmth and comfort to the grieving survivors. His magic subtly wove through the dishes, mending not just bodies but spirits as well. As the aroma of freshly baked bread and savory stews filled the air, a hush fell over the survivors. Aldric had not only provided sustenance, but a beacon of hope in their darkest hour. In the midst of their communal meal, Aldric revealed his magic to the survivors, sharing his hope for rebuilding their lives. His heartfelt plea resonated with them, fostering unity and determination. News of Aldric's deeds spread like wildfire through Auralis, reaching the ears of those in power. Soon, he found himself summoned to meet with the royal court. Dressed in fine robes, Aldric stood before the Auralian court, their gazes sharp with skepticism. "You speak of helping the people, yet what evidence do we have of your good intentions?" boomed a voice from the nobles. Aldric nodded. "You are right to be cautious. But surely the work I have done speaks for itself. I have not come to harm Auralis, but to help it heal." Just then, the doors burst open and a guard rushed in. "Archduchess Ilara requests an audience with Aldric." The court erupted in murmurs. Aldric, surprised, but sensing an opportunity to clear any misunderstandings, readily agreed to meet with her. In private, Aldric listened patiently to Ilara's concerns, offering reassurances and clarifications. When she pressed him about the extent of his powers, he demonstrated subtle enchantments on simple foods, showing how he could bolster the body's natural defenses. Ilara, impressed by his sincerity and the potency of his magic, extended an alliance. Together, they could rebuild Auralis and foster a lasting peace between the kingdoms. But Aldric cautioned against rushing things. A relationship built on mistrust is akin to a house built on sand. We must mend the rifts between our people first. Ilara pondered this, realizing the wisdom in his words. "Very well," she conceded, a glimmer of a smile gracing her lips. "Let us begin then. I believe my mother and I have much to discuss with you." And so began a new chapter in Auralis, marked by cooperation and healing. Aldric's influence, coupled with Ilara's diplomatic efforts, fostered reconciliation between the former rivals. Yet, amidst this newfound harmony, a shadow loomed. Queen Sereth, consumed by her thwarted ambitions, retreated further into herself, her once vibrant spirit dimmed by defeat. Aldric, ever attuned to the subtle shifts in magic, sensed the troubling changes in the queen. Sensing the disturbance in the force, he confided in Archduchess Ilara, urging her to check on her mother's well-being. Concerned, Ilara paid a visit to her mother, only to find Queen Sereth absent from her chambers. A note lay on the desk, its contents chilling. The queen had vanished. Alerted to the situation, Aldric and Ilara raced to the palace, where they discovered a disturbing sight. Queen Sereth, drained and weak, lay on the throne, her eyes vacant. In that moment, Aldric realized the gravity of the situation. Not only was the Queen missing, but she had been stripped of her life force. And he knew instinctively who was responsible. With a heavy heart, Aldric acknowledged that the Queen was beyond his culinary aid. Her fate now lay in the hands of the Auralian healers. As dawn broke, casting long shadows over the land, Aldric stood before the court, his heart heavy with the news. The once vibrant Queen Sereth lay comatose, her life hanging in the balance. A tense silence gripped the court. Suddenly, Archduchess Alara stepped forward, her voice ringing with determination. "We will not stand idly by while our Queen fights for her life. I order a full investigation. Every resource of Auralis will be dedicated to finding the person responsible and bringing them to justice." Her words were met with nods of agreement, forming a united front against the shadowy figure who had dared to attack their queen. The investigation uncovered a trail leading directly to the banished mage, Malachi. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Aldric and Alara decided to seek help from Lyra, who possessed the knowledge and skills to track down the rogue mage. Their journey was perilous, fraught with magical obstacles placed by Malachi to hinder their pursuit. Yet their determination never wavered. Finally, they reached the desolate wasteland of Whisperwind, Malachi's self-imposed exile. Here, magic was unstable and unpredictable, mirroring the volatile power within the banished mage. Amidst the whispering winds, Aldric and Alara found Malachi in a state of utter despair. His once brilliant magic was twisted and corrupted, consumed by an insatiable hunger. Malachi, driven by his dark magic, attacked, his power surging around him like a tempest. But Aldric and Alara were prepared. They countered his spells, creating a protective barrier that shielded them from his wrath. In the midst of the chaos, Alara managed to reach out to Malachi, sensing the tormented soul beneath the raging mage. "Malachi, I know you are in there. Come back to us. There is still good left in you." Her words pierced through Malachi's dark haze, momentarily stirring a flicker of recognition in his eyes. Aldric seized the opportunity, channeling his life magic into Malachi, hoping to heal the broken mage and restore his connection to the light. As the battle raged, Lyra arrived, bolstering Aldric's magic with her own. Together, they succeeded in banishing Malachi, ending his reign of terror and restoring balance to the land. With Malachi vanquished, the delicate peace between Auralis and Varkis hung in the balance. But Aldric, drawing upon the lessons of his journey, embarked on a mission to mend the fractured ties between the kingdoms. He organized grand feasts, inviting leaders from both sides, where he served dishes imbued with the essence of unity and understanding. Each bite was a testament to his culinary magic, fostering a sense of camaraderie and goodwill.